Bank, Amitava here.
So, good evening, everyone. Today is a very special day, and I'm very delighted to be welcoming the entire team from YES Bank. So, we have Mr. Munindra Verma, who is the head of transaction banking strategy and transaction at YES Bank. We also have the delight of welcoming Mr. Amitava Datta, and Amitava sir is the Group Executive Vice President, Transaction Banking Group, YES Bank. And so today we'll be talking about ONDC. We'll be understanding every aspect related to ONDC. So this is going to be a very interactive session. So let us all try to interact as much as possible. And once we'll have our presentation, you can be asking your questions. ठीक है, एक बार जब सेशन खत्म हो जाता है तो जितने भी स्टार्टअप्स हैं आप लोग अपने क्वेश्चंस उसके बाद हम लोग करेंगे, ठीक है ना? We'll also have Nilesh will be joining us physically. Nilesh is also a mentor at VHub and he also happens to be from YES Bank. So he'll be joining us shortly from here. So Munindra sir, welcome to the session at VHub, sir.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Before we proceed, it would be good to also understand a bit background or profile of the participants that will help me calibrate my discussions with all. So a little bit of profiling would be very handy.
Yeah, so I'll ask the startups to introduce themselves briefly so we have a better understanding of it, sir.
Introduction will consume a lot of time, so if somebody can summarize, it would be better.
All right, so I'll do that, sir. So my name is Rajiv and I'm the community manager here. And basically, so VHub is a co-working and co-learning space. And it's basically, it is by the Department of तो यहाँ पे वही स्टार्टअप्स बैठते हैं जिनको कि बिहार गवर्नमेंट ने फंड कर दिया हुआ है and we have startups from different fields. So we have some edtech, we have some AI ML based startups, we have some agri-tech based startups. So we have majorly health tech startups. We have a lot of health tech companies who are working here. But there are certain startups जो कि food delivery में काम करते हैं, कुछ इस तरीके के FMCG products में. So we have variety of startups here, sir. A mix of all these.
Okay, good. Excellent. Amitava, shall we proceed or do you want to make any comment?
No, I think we can proceed. In fact, in a recent discussion over a week and a half's time, I think I'm thankful to Rajiv ji for kind of arranging this kind of a session for VHub. We've been hearing, in fact, a couple of our colleagues have also visited the VHub in Bihar. I was in Patna a week and a half back, and I was interacting with them. So it's a wonderful opportunity that we all are meeting and we can do the interaction. And our colleagues are there. Nilesh, as you know, is a mentor who is joining. We have Samir also from my team who is there based out of Patna. So we can immediately, once this session is over, I think we can have a Q&A session. At the same time, from Monday onwards, people can start interacting with each other wherever there is a need of whatever we are discussing.
Sir, good evening, Kumud sir. I have already joined, sir. I'm just on way.
Yeah, hi Nilesh. Okay. So they can start interacting with Nilesh and Samir immediately once the session is over. I think that will be very helpful for each other. And we also wanted to hear from the startups because there is a lot to learn. That is what I understand whenever we interact with the startups. So please do let us know also. We can start the session. Muni sir will take it forward.
Great. Wonderful. So absolutely delighted and privileged to be here with the creative and progressive entrepreneurial group here. And initially, in fact, I was mentioned that the team would be keen to not only understand the ONDC, but also a little bit on CBDC. So what we have done is that small intro piece we have compiled on CBDC, which is Central Bank Digital Currency, and then also we'll delve deeper into ONDC. Just to organize the session better, what we'll do is that if anybody having any question in between, that can be given in the chat box here, and my colleagues Amitava here there in Kolkata and here in Mumbai, Jalesh can jot down those questions, and that can be taken up at a later stage. So we are we have roughly about 45 minutes or so. So what I'll try and do is to do my briefing for about 30 minutes or so, and if there is any pressing query, questions, concern, maybe suggestion if coming to anybody's mind, please pause me and would be happy to pick that up. Okay, so moving on. So what I'll do is that hope I am audible. Great. So what I'll do, I'll just share, I'll just share the screen and then take it forward. So I'll go to the PPT, which has been prepared for this purpose. Okay. Is this PPT visible to you?
Yes, sir.
Great. So moving on, to make a beginning, what I've tried to do is to put most important element of our ecosystem, which is the public digital infrastructure, which is happening, unfolding, and taking foundation shape. In some cases, a big contribution they have already started making. In some cases, it is at the evolution stage, and it will have a big bang impact when we come to a critical mass. So public digital infrastructure is something that we all, especially the startup ecosystem, should definitely understand, because these digital infrastructures are here to help us harness the various enablers which are in place and help us do business more efficiently. Many times help us do things in a democratic way. uh, Many times it helps us really reach nook and corner of the country for with our goods and services. Many times these digital infrastructures have been created with the purpose of connecting the dots. So some of these digital infrastructures have been presented over here for everyone to understand, and I'll just talk a little bit about them. I'm sure we all have heard of account aggregator. Account aggregator is a infrastructure which is in place for roughly about 4 to 5 years. The real impact and big impact of that is yet to come, but the potential is far and wide reaching. And basically, it helps us bridge the data gap which one person, one entity, one institution would be having, and the data may be sitting somewhere else. The simple example of that could be, suppose somebody is having, for example, a bank account with, say, State Bank of India, and wants to borrow from, say, for example, YES Bank, and wants to share that data on the fly. So that is available now on a consent based and in a very, very well defined governance structure that is in place. So that is in place, and now more and more players are harnessing that. So that's about sharing of data, particularly liabilities and certain financial services data. But the objective over here is that, for example, income tax related data, for example, GST related information that we have, liability, bank, deposit, insurance related data that is sitting in one institution to be used in another institution. Slowly these are coming up. GST has been made operational, I think sometime beginning of this month. Bank statement is there in place for some time. There is something called Open Credit Enablement Network, OCEN. OCEN is again uh, a platform wherein the transaction which are sitting in some ecosystem. For example, transaction is sitting in GEM. I'm sure some of you are aware of government e-marketplace. Maybe the data may be sitting in some e-commerce platform. For example, Flipkart or Amazon, just an example. Or the data may be sitting, with say on GST. You raise an invoice and create invoice there, and data is sitting there. So that data can flow in a well-defined protocol to the set of financiers. The set of financiers can bid for that, and then financing can happen on top of that. So similarly, anyway, ONDC and CBDC will go a little deeper later on. ULIP is another good, great transformational ecosystem which has been put in place, Unified Logistics Interface platform, wherein the data from, for example, railway related data, so Ministry of Railway, aviation related data, so Ministry of Civil Aviation and DGCA, for example, customs related data, the Ministry of Surface Transport, vehicle movement data, fast track data. So all these about 6 ministries, 27 systems from these ministries, data of that has been harmonized. Why so? Today, if you will recall, that the cost of logistics in Indian economy, basically various estimate is ranging from 12 to 18%. And if you compare with other big trading entities, countries particularly, the cost of logistics is somewhere between say 9 to 10%. So idea is to see that how we not only enhance the physical infrastructure but also digital infrastructure around transportation and logistics, which will make the logistics more efficient. So that piece has been done under the larger plan of under PM Gati Shakti. Last but not least, there are many more, but we have just picked a few of them. Regulatory sandbox, particularly regulator RBI, this is more from the Reserve Bank of India angle, and other financial services regulator on the insurance side, capital market side, pension side. These are the other three regulators on the financial services side, and they are now more open. This is actually a very transformational change that we are experiencing, that regulators are also more open beyond the regulatory realm of their activity. They are also working a lot on developmental projects and ideas. So in fact, there are about 7-8 projects around cross-border remittances under the capital account remittances, under the liberalized remittance scheme, under overseas investment opportunity related scheme. And YES Bank was also very privileged to be part of supporting some of the startups like you in partnering with RBI in going through their own product testing on the RBI sandbox. Some of the pictures over there on the right side of the slide, I'll particularly focus on the one which we did recently in Patna, wherein in fact Patna Municipal Corporation has become the first municipal corporation in the country to use central bank digital currency, though it is at very nascent stage. But the very proud moment for all of us, that Patna embarked upon that journey of receiving payments from citizens for their citizen services in digital currency. And there's some numbers around statistics that YES Bank is associated with regard to various digital transaction ecosystem in place, and our market share when on the UPI, which is like the most known to all of us, and I'm sure all of us must be using it. We are in 38% plus transaction. YES Bank is one, or at least in one leg of the transaction. So similarly, NEFT, IMPS, RTGS, RDA. RDA is rupee drawing arrangement wherein the overseas bank and financial institutions, particularly exchange houses, can make seamless payment directly to the beneficiary in India. So this is very important for all of us to understand the larger ecosystem which is unfolding. And one of the big ecosystem which we all have benefited, country has benefited from public digital infrastructure. I'm sure all of us are part of that, which is Aadhaar ecosystem. So that was one public digital infrastructure in the last 9-10 years that has really transformed many aspects of life. And these are the few more which we believe will have wide ramifications in furthering Indian economy. Okay, moving on. Yeah. So what I'll do, we'll just touch briefly upon CBDC. And before I go deeper on this part, can I hear from anyone about anybody has used digital currency in the last 8-9 months since its inception?
Yes, I have the account with ICICI Bank.
You have.
You can.
Wonderful to know. Anybody else?
Yes, sir.
So you are the sole representative in addition to YES Bank colleagues who have used digital currency?
Probably so.
Okay, perfect. No worries. Absolutely all right. Again, it's a new journey for the country. So very quickly, as this was initially talked about and subsequently the main focus is on ONDC. So very quickly, I'll talk about more from the angle that we have had some rendezvous in Patna as well. So we have, we use all our, I'm sure in everybody's wallet, there would be certain Indian rupee note. And we all are, part of the Indian rupee note circulation and money in circulation in the country. And while we have digital channel across RTGS, NEFT, IMPS, card payments, various prepaid instruments, various wallets that we use, and of course UPI, which is a mother of all in terms of volume that's been building up. The physical currency note is also big time in circulation. It's actually even in the last 4 or 5 years post demonetization as well. the usage of currency note is actually growing. So therefore, for various reasons, the way crypto was one buzz and one big area which has been talked about and which is in news, and I'm sure some of us would have heard of Bitcoin and many other cryptos, which was in media, which was in various discussion forum. So looking at the crypto related issues and challenges, looking at the various problems and difficulties that we have with currency notes. For example, sometime it can get wet, sometime may get torn, sometime it may get lost. Those kind of challenges with the currency note. With the currency note, there are challenges around minting, designing, circulating, warehousing, storing, securing. So looking at all these aspects, various central bank, including RBI, has been experimenting and working on ideas around central bank digital currency. And finally, they felt it appropriate to launch that in the country. And good that some of us have really experienced it. And also, just to share, Reserve Bank of India, when they launched it, they evaluated various tech platforms. And what they have done, as it happens in physical currency, and I'm sure some of us are aware how the physical currency is put in circulation. The notes are printed by the government, by the RBI. Thereafter, banks give wire transfer to the RBI, and RBI gives physical note to the bank. And thereafter, bank through their currency chests puts the money all over the country, and through the country branches, we all go to the branches and withdraw cash, and then the cash comes to us. In the same way, the central bank has minted or designed the digital currency in electronic form, and that has been done on the blockchain infrastructure between RBI and all the participating banks. Today, there are about 13 banks who are participating. And then once the bank got from the RBI, thereafter banks are giving to public at large like you and me. So, and there is a normal API based technology has been used. So that's the way physical circulation happens for the physical currency. Same way digital circulation is happening for the digital currency. Every time actually it's going to the first page, so I'll just yeah. So very quickly, maybe in the Q&A we can go a little bit deeper on the currency note piece. But just to share with you the journey around the currency note, we all have experienced NEFT, IMPS, RTGS, Aadhaar enabled payment system, and UPI. That the journey actually, the evolution happened in 1990 to 2020, and thereafter there were internal working group. In fact, one of the YES Bank official is also part of the RBI working group, which was set up for the purpose of CBDC. And thereafter, last year, finance minister, she announced in the budget with regard to launch of CBDC in the financial year FY23, and there were certain regulatory changes which were made to make the digital currency note as the valid legal tender by virtue of an amendment to the RBI Act. And thereafter, in November, the CBDC, the central bank digital currency, or e-rupee or digital rupee that's being talked about, was launched. Initially, it was launched in four locations, in 5 locations: Mumbai, Delhi, Bangalore, and Bhubaneswar, with 4 banks. And we are part of the first 4 banks, along with State Bank, ICICI, and IDFC First Bank. And subsequently, in March, April, more banks were added. 5 more banks were added, and now more banks were added. Today, there are 13 banks who are part of the pilot. It is still pilot at this point in time. And Patna was part of the second phase as far as the city is concerned. And why city is relevant? Because merchants and shops and establishments, and those kind of establishments are relevant from the location perspective, while you and me individually may not be restricting ourselves to merchant outlet. From that angle, suppose I'm sitting here, I'm having this CBDC in my wallet, I can give to anybody all over the country, because the other person has to be on the CBDC wallet. So that's the journey of the last roughly about 30 years or so. Few countries have, many countries are anyways experimenting for last 20 years or more than 20 years. And BIS, that central banks of the central banks, that Banque International de Settlement, Switzerland, Basel, they have been in fact championing and researching on this space for last 20 to 30 years. And their research, along with the central bank of more than 100 countries, have been working on. 5 countries have already launched it. China is one of the big one which has actually launched it, and some of them are piloting it, and we are also part of the pilot phase at this point in time. Okay, so this is there are 13 banks at this point in time. So in terms of the count of customers like you and me, all put together, there are about 1.4 million individuals like you and me are on this wallet in the country at this point in time. Roughly about 3,300,000 merchants have already got the CBDC infrastructure at their place, and then pilot transactions are happening on everyday basis. So this different banks are having different volume depending upon their client base and their adoption. Okay, moving on.
Sir, this is Nilesh.
Yeah,
Sir,
Nilesh.
sir, just to appraise you, sir, we are proud to be in Bihar state, and YES Bank is doing so very well, and Bihar is a topmost state where digital currency and digital transaction is going so very well that Bihar is number one today, sir.
Excellent. Very, very happy to hear. No, in fact, as far the digital transaction volume is concerned, BI is doing good. And of course, it's a function of the payments and business and overall economic activity. But from the digital currency angle, I was mentioning earlier, very, very proud to be one associated with the government of Bihar, and also starting in Patna Municipal Corporation, because that was a part of the Patna as a city was part of the overall pilot which was planned by RBI, and state electricity board is also under implementation of this. So good journey so far in this space, but all these volumes are a function of economic activity, and from that perspective we need to really bring a lot of impetus in the economic activity in the state of Bihar as well. Thank you. So little bit more detailing is there around digital currency. I'll not pick up all these thread. Probably in the Q&A if required, I'll pick up. I'll only add one point, that the way we value, we respect, we use in the sense that we assign value to that. It's the digital currency has same value the way the physical currency has. One digital rupee is equivalent to one normal physical rupee. That's the monetary value it has. And and uh, and what happens in settlement, whenever you do any kind of settlement, for example, UPI based settlement, UPI based payment you do, sometime you do RTGS payment, sometime you do NEFT payment, sometime we do say IMPS payment, for example. In all these payment process, particularly for the two transactions are done on the fly. However, the real settlement happens with some lag. In the case of CBDC, it's a token based, simply identifiable. You can simply correlate that suppose two individuals sitting in the room are taking their wallet out and taking say 100 rupee note, physical note, and giving to the other person. That's the settlement. In the same way, in the case of CBDC, if I have the CBDC wallet and one gentleman is anyway in the room who has got the CBDC wallet, if I make a transfer here from my account to that person's account, and after transaction done, settled, there is not any requirement of post facto money movement between the financial institution. So that's very uniqueness that we have. Similarly, suppose two people do the transaction and nobody else will know. For example, I pay you, one person pays physical currency note to the other person and hides it, does not inform anybody. So nobody else will know about it. So that's the anonymity of the transaction. In the same way, the long-term objective of CBDC settlement is also to make it anonymous. Anonymous in the sense that probably the technology has to be developed, the record around this transaction, because it's a digital transaction, there it will always leave trail, but by regulation and by technology we will delete the entire database, and therefore there will not be any knowledge about the transaction at a later date. So around that, ultimately it is designed to be anonymous as well, and that will also come in due course of time. Moving on, some of you who are user, one person only I heard is the user of this. That person definitely will be having some question that why CBDC if we have UPI, and there are a lot of uniqueness that's there between CBDC and UPI as a tool. One is a payment system, one is the currency system. By design itself, they are different. But for user like you and me, there would be a lot of commonality that we experience in UPI and CBDC. So as most of you have not used it, as a user, you will not be able to experience this difference. But at this point in time, one piece that I would definitely like to add is that currency and payment system, anyway, I mentioned that settlement is definitely instant. In the case of UPI, settlement is happens normally as per the agreement, as per the arrangement, 1 day, 2 days, the settlement happens. But in the case of CBDC, as I said in the beginning, it is instant settlement. Programmability, important point I would like to understand. There would be, there is a thought. This thought is to be further harnessed. That suppose a dad gives, physical note to son to buy some stationery, but that son, suppose he wants to use for something else, it can't be controlled, right? Because money can be used anywhere else. There is a thought that we can we can give the digital currency with a purpose, with a program, with a particular type of merchant where it can be used. And then in this example, the kid can go to only that outlet, and then only those kind of outlets wherein that currency can be used. Similarly, if any kind of DBT is happening, DAC benefit transfer is happening from government, and suppose agriculture input has to be bought by the farmer, for example, and for that purpose only this CBDC is transferred, then only in that kind of outlet, defined outlet or defined type of outlet, only it can be used. So these are the benefits which would be harnessed over a period of time as far as the CBDC is concerned. So a couple of use cases, I'll not go deeper. Just to add that in cross-border payment as well, there is already a kind of a agreement entered into between Central Bank of India, which is Central Bank of our country, which is RBI, and Central Bank of UAE, which is CBUAE, and they are partnering on to do the transfer cross-border payments on CBDC with the purpose to minimize cost of transaction, especially low ticket transactions. And our governor Shaktikanta Das is indeed emphasizing on the future of money, considering CBDC as future of money, and definitely it will help in transformation. These are people who are used it. This is the way it looks like. YES Bank wallet is also shown here. I'm sure other banks would be having similar wallet. Right from 2 rupee denomination digital rupee note to 500 rupee denomination, because 2000 has been withdrawn. Earlier when it was launched, 2000 was also there in November, but you know that subsequently sometime in March, April, that 2000 rupee denomination has been withdrawn, and that's the reason digital also it's been withdrawn, and also 50 paise and 1 rupee coin is also shown there. So I've just touched upon CBDC. If there is any specific query, we can pick it up now or we can take it later.
Yeah, so there is one question here.
Yeah.
I just need to know the difference of, the bank's role when we talk about physical rupee and when we talk about digital rupee. How the role of bank is different in both cases. Are they same or different?
Role of the bank is in some way same. As you know that the currency is circulated in the country first by RBI to the banks. As I get the example, physical currency note. In the same way, digital rupee is given by RBI to the banks. So here the role is similar. Secondly, the bank gives the currency note, physical currency note, to the people at large like you and me. Same way, CBDC would be given by the bank. First, you will have to get it from bank, or first you have to get. Normally, you have to get it from bank. Thereafter, when the dissimilarity or uniqueness is that today, if person X is giving currency note to person Y, as of right now, banking system will not come to know about it. But the current design right now at this stage of evolution of CBDC, the wallet is being run and managed by the bank. Today, you go to any bank and go to any shop and buy a wallet, right? But in the case of CBDC, the wallet would be provided by a bank. It has to be well KYC'd wallet, and that infrastructure is also run by the bank. So that's the uniqueness vis-a-vis the physical currency.
I think I'll just add what Muni is saying, that as far as the settlement is concerned, I'll just add to the settlement piece also. See, in case of a P2P or a person-to-person settlement, if I am paying it to Nilesh, the settlement happens instantaneously in case of an UPI, correct? But in case of a CBDC, the settlement again, and in case of a P2M or a person to merchant, In case of UPI, the settlement happens next day. Though you get a notification as a business owner, you get a notification, my account, I am got a money, but actually the credit happens the next day. In case of CBDC, it's an instant settlement. So the way it is explained, a 100 rupees note given to you, and immediately it is settled. So there is no delay or lag as far as the collection, as the payment or the settlement is concerned. I think that is very, very important, keeping in mind people are going to run their own business, and I'm sure over a period of time would be using CBDC also.
And there would be many use cases. I'm sure all these creative startups will make out of this. I'm very confident about it. Okay.
Ask the question.
Great. So
Yeah. So my question is, like, as the digital currency is being implemented, so with the implementation of digital currency, the physical money, like physical money will be in the run, or that will go out of run in the coming time. And second question is that, like, if we, like through the help of digital, like we can create a digital currency, then is there any limitation that up to what mark we can create the currency, or like what is that? We can have like enormous amount of digital currency in that way.
okay, excellent question. So today 35 lakh crore worth physical currency is in circulation. The slide also indicated that, and I'm sure you are reading various publications from RBI. And my memory supports well, there are a couple of crore worth only digital currency has been put in circulation. The end game over here ultimately would be both the currency system will exist. That's what is the impression we are indeed getting at the early stage from RBI. But I am sure that the share of digital currency in the overall currency in circulation will definitely go up over a period of time. I understand in China this percentage is as high as 10%, the share of digital currency. So I believe that digital currency circulation will definitely go from here. It is currently 2.5, 3 crore at this point in time. This is at the pilot phase, but it will definitely grow far more. Limitation. Your question is that is there any limitation? Of course, currency in circulation has a lot of impact on the economy. We all have heard of M1, M2, M3, various types of money in circulation, as we know. And the first one is the physical currency note in circulation. So ultimately, to the extent the RBI and the government would like the physical currency or currency note in circulation, to that extent, they will do a combination of physical currency note and digital currency note. And it's all about the overall economy need for the economy. So accordingly, this amount would be calibrated by RBI and largely by RBI in consultation. Some of these things are done in consultation with the government. So that's the way it would be done. Great. Let me move on to the core agenda. Is that screen visible?
Yes.
Okay. So ONDC stands for Open Network for Digital Commerce. Anyone has, I'm sure we are talking about this topic for some time. Anybody has actually done any transaction on this platform? While this is a learning session for all of us, I'm sure some of us would have actually experienced or read or probably would have been in similar session before, or maybe would have transacted also as a user, if not as a seller. Anyone?
Seems no one here.
Okay, that's a good clean slate for us. So fine, absolutely all right. So as the name suggests, it's open network for digital commerce, and I'm sure we all know digital commerce. Or rather, I should ask, who has not done any transaction on digital commerce? Is there anyone who has not done transaction on, say, Flipkart or Amazon or Tata Click or ShopClues or Snapdeal? Nowadays, that Nykaa, Myntra, lot of garments, shopping, fashion, apparel on that. Anyone who has actually not done transaction on any such digital commerce platform?
100% people are there.
So everyone has done some or the other transaction. Great. Somebody is nodding head. I'm not sure what does that mean. So, but anyways, I believe with this, with this digital commerce in the country for last 15 years plus, I'm sure all of us have done some or the other transaction. In fact, parents, our senior citizens, in our families, they have also done, and if they have not done themselves, they will tell their junior citizens in the family to do this. So we all know digital commerce. The idea here, the theme over here is open network of digital commerce. So whatever digital commerce that we imagine, how do we have an open network of that? So the name itself is quite self-explanatory, and the concept is revolutionary. Absolutely high impact concept that's there. And I'll just talk a little bit of the backdrop around this. We all know that internet penetration in the country, and I'm sure all of us are witness to that, has grown significantly in the last, say, in the last 10, 11 years. Now, roughly about 70 crore plus people in the country are actually having access to internet, which is going to further grow significantly. Smartphone penetration, entrepreneurs, startup ecosystem, all of you are anyway using smartphone. The smartphone penetration in the country, with smartphone costing as less as 5 to 6,000 rupee, the smartphone usage and penetration in the country is also grown significantly and going to be almost 100% in the near future, in the next 10 to 15 years. So these are the backdrop, and that's what has been experienced in other parts of the world as well. So with that, and all of us have experienced in the last, I don't remember the year, it must be, I think sometime 2019, 2020, when Geo came in, Geo Fiber came in. So we have seen that in the last 3 to 4 years, the cost of data has really gone down significantly. And one of the estimates says that people who are using smartphone, the average data consumption per month has gone upwards of 20 GB in the country. So you can imagine. And earlier, I recall MB used to cost hundreds of rupee. Now GB even doesn't cost if you look at the ARPU, average revenue per user from Jio, Airtel, Vodafone, all of them, they are about 200, 250 rupee. And mind it, the average data consumption is 20 GB. So 1 GB is not costing not even 10 rupee. So anyways, the larger point is that the overall infrastructure around data has come up very significantly. However, if you look at the kirana, 1.2 crore kirana we have all over the country, but only 15,000 of them, as per last estimate, are on the e-commerce, digital commerce platform. If you look at people like you and me, only 6 to 7% people are actually using this in the country. Vis-a-vis China, Indonesia, other parts, Europe, the number is far bigger. If you look at on the business side, the number is even smaller, the B2B purchases. That's on more of a bilateral offline mode. And at this point in time, we see larger usage there in the urban population than rural and village population. So that's the backdrop that we have. While the data penetration has grown really significantly, in the last 10 years. So that's the backdrop that we are seeing. And in that backdrop of commerce, which I gave example of, that who all have not done on Amazon, Flipkart, Snapdeal, and variety of them, Tata Click and Myntra, and Nykaa of the world. So while this sample audience in the participants, all of them have used it, but when you really look at the way it's happening in the way the entire architecture is in place, we have limited choice of seller. For example, today, if suppose somebody wants to do lipstick shopping on Myntra through Amazon or on Nykaa, the person may not be able to get those sellers on Amazon. Just an example. At the same time, our high street vendors, or sometimes our own neighborhood vendors, neighborhood shops are not there on such Amazons and digital commerce platform. And so therefore, discovering larger set of buyers and sellers is a concern and is an opportunity to focus. So, and if we have less and less players, then on this digital commerce, then we have more and more, we have less opportunity to innovate, less opportunity to experiment. So that's the backdrop that we have. And then comes this open network of digital commerce. And I gave example of 7, 8 such digital commerce platform. There are many more. What this ONDC does, open network of digital commerce, it unbundles. You and me are buyers. They are kept in one category. They are sellers, retailer, big ones. They are in one category. So all of these are unbundled and put in different buckets. And there are also some guys, I'm sure some of you you would have seen somebody moving with a bike with delivery, written on their bag. You would have seen e-cart. So there are a lot of Dunjo, for example, you would have heard of. There are a lot of such logistics players also there who are also very important in the digital commerce ecosystem. So we have what ONDC does, it really puts in different category and then try and make it interoperable. Interoperable means that somebody who is on one platform, okay, can see the sellers across all other platforms which are available there. So it is platform agnostic. So what this open network is doing is unbundling the current design and architecture and having unbundled it, trying to do crisscross play for larger good. So that's very, very important piece and architecture to understand. And having noted that people so far have not actually experimented, whenever I do the talking, I try and do one or two orders on the platform, and my family says that suddenly something or the other comes at home, and they wonder why it has come. So maybe if time permits, I will try and do a sample order here. But anyways, coming in order to understand the open, see, as we have created different set of entities or application as buyer, different set of entities or application as seller, it's very, very important that there is a platform wherein they can talk to each other, they can interact with each other, they can look at each other, they can see the data from each other, right? So from that perspective, the corollary that we can draw is the email protocol that we have. In the case of a simple mail transfer protocol that we have, in the case of email, I'm sure some of us will be on Gmail, some of them may be on Yahoo, some of us may be on Hotmail, some of us may be on Rediff Mail, and many more. Some of us are anyway on that different office email IDs, yesbank.in or statebankofindia.com or variety of such office email IDs. So what happens, there is a protocol which is being put on the net, and people who are sending mail from yesbank.in are able to receive, say, for example, bhub.org, just an example. So there is a protocol which has been put in place. That's the email example that we have. I'm sure many of us, who have seen the Geo coming in the last, say, 7-8 years. The telecom, the calling feature came first, and thereafter data and other things came. Some of you will recall that when they initially came, it was very difficult to complete a call. If somebody is calling from Geo and wants to talk to somebody on Airtel network, it was very difficult. And of course, there were certain natural competitive forces were also playing at the time. But over a period of time, government and ecosystem working together have created a switch, and therefore people are seamlessly and easily, they don't even now know that there could have been some problem in the past. So those concepts and standard protocol have been borrowed from those concepts and experiences, and same interoperability and crisscross engagements have been put between various set of buyers and various set of players on this network. We'll understand a little bit more, but just keep in that mind that suppose I'll give you a simple example. Somebody who is, just take it as example only. Suppose somebody is on Amazon. You are, for example, on Amazon as a buyer. If Amazon is also on the ONDC platform, and suppose XYZ, maybe a lychee supplier from Patna or Muzaffarpur is on the platform as seller on, say, on Flipkart platform, just an example, as a food and beverage category. So Munindra Verma is on, for example, on Amazon as buyer, and Amitava Datta, for example, is there on Flipkart selling lychee, just an example, exotic fruit, Amitava, so don't mind. So selling lychee, exotic fruit, I love it, most of us love it. So if both of these players, Amazon guys and Flipkart, are there on the platform, then we can do the transaction. I am sitting on Amazon, Amitava is sitting on Flipkart as seller, and by connecting through the open ONDC protocol, that the commerce can happen. And then maybe a Danjo or a delivery we can choose, and they can do the shipment from Amitava to my place. So that's the way the entire design has been put in place. So what happens in one platform? Take example of Flipkart. So the buyers on one platform cannot interact with seller on another platform, and everyone has to register on multiple platform. So searching for the product, building the cart, then payment gateways. Catalog management is very, very cumbersome process that has to be done. Order fulfillment, everything is happening on one platform. Similarly, somebody is doing this entire activity on Amazon, somebody is doing the entire activity on Flipkart, somebody is doing the entire activity on, say, Tata Click. So that's the current protocol which is in place. Now the future protocol which we are doing, so and the current method, this is what the upper part of the slide is, the one that we discussed in the previous slide. This is the way the arrangement is put in place. Now in the case of ONDC, what's happening? Set of buyers can come on an application and a software which is buyer application software. They can be connected on ONDC. Some of the sellers can come on the seller application, and then they are hooked onto the ONDC. Some of the logistics players can be on, again, ONDC platform. And then a buyer from one platform on one application, through this, go to the seller on another application and look at the catalog, look at the price, look at the delivery commitments, and also choose a delivery partner, and then consummate a transaction, and thereafter the physical movement happens thereafter. So here this expense is better. So retailer, a retail buyer like you and me on one platform, for example, we are on, say, Paytm platform, just an example. We can, from the Paytm, we can go to, say, McDonald's, and from McDonald's system, which is coming as a seller, okay, which is not on, say, Paytm at all, but through ONDC, the McDonald's is connected over there, and then transaction can be, the order can be made, and thereafter the fulfillment can be done by delivery, and of course payment method is also done along with the transaction closures. So here this is a comprehensive one, wherein we have put all the retail buyer, seller, and logistics player at one go. There are guys who are only buyer. For example, many banks will put their customers as a buyer platform. Slowly this process is happening. So all of us in retail individual customers can be put on this platform by, say, for example, YES Bank, sooner or later will come on that, depend, there are certain regulatory discussions underway. So we will put all the customers of the bank. Paytm has already done it as a Paytm mall, all the customers over there. And then there would be a variety of sellers that will engage and do the transaction. Similarly, there could be a seller, for example, maybe if you can take example, FMCG company, Dabur. Dabur has put its program over here. There are 10 buyer applications which are standing there, who will search from Dabur as a seller and then place order, and depending on the requirement, they can also choose a logistics player, and then the entire piece is happening. The point over here is that entire process is getting very, very democratized in the process. And as you know that some big e-commerce player, I will not use the word monopoly, but they have larger say, in contracting with a seller, and virtually buyers don't have much say. Whatever are their standard, which an Amazon would have done. With this process, there would be unbundling, and there would be larger say for all the stakeholders, and there is a kind of a entity, which is, the entity name itself is ONDC, which is a not-for-profit organization, Section 8 company, so not-for-profit company. So they are trying to put the entire protocol around this, and in the process, one seller or one buyer, one seller particularly will not be having too much say, and sometimes they may not be having monopolistic practices also. So same thing for the logistics. So here comes the little bit of detailed architecture of the ONDC, wherein there are various applications of buyers. Paytm is one such application. PhonePe is coming up with another application. PhonePe is coming up, they have a set of sellers. Spice Money is coming with another application. They have a lot of set of buyers. So a lot of agriculture input player will be coming. IFCO may come, CRIFCO may come. So all these guys will come as seller, and farmers may be coming as buyer. And maybe Dehat may put, for example, Dehat is one of the very, very respected startup from Patna itself, right? They may put all their farmer on this platform as buyer, right? So you can imagine, suddenly lakhs of farmers, for example, who are on Dehat platform have access to the sellers all over the country. So that's the power this platform brings in. So at this point in time, ladies and gentlemen, there are select category of goods and category of goods which are on, already there on ONDC, food and beverages, grocery, home and kitchen, electronic appliances, mobility, cab booking and all is already there in place, fashion, health and wellness, agriculture, beauty and personal care. On the B2C front, for business to business transaction also, select category are already in place. In fact, financial services product, we are part of the working group with ONDC, and financial services product also coming up. So personal loan will come over there. Fast tag kind of product will come. Insurance, simple insurance product will come soon over there. I recall gift card, bank gift card will come soon over there. So logistic services are coming, in due course of time. So today, if you want to have PL, personal loan, you go to a bank website, or sometimes you go to many fintechs website. You can come here, and then there would be a variety of fintechs, there would be a variety of non-banks, there would be banks who would be lined up to take care of your financial services requirements, starting with the personal loan. That's coming up. I expect this to happen in the next quarter or so. So benefits for all, because unbundling, single platform, access to all domains for buyers, sellers, and for tech company also. Some of the startups, I'm sure, will play here also in this group, will play pivotal role in bringing buyers and sellers together, and also coming up with more solutions, solutions and efficiency ideas. They'll try and bring in and make this democratic platform far more effective. The way, the Apple ecosystem for developers, Android ecosystem for developers, they are coming out with ecosystem. The way I gave the example of financial services sandbox, ONDC also created sandbox for the startup ecosystem of tech players to work on various ideas and bring more efficiency and more benefit to the buyers, sellers, and also the logistics partners in this ecosystem. So a little bit summary. So it's not a application, it's not a platform, it's a network. It's for everyone, and it's not monopolistic. It's indeed democratic, and with more and more people, it's open to more and more people. I can only say today, Amazon is not on this platform today, Flipkart is not on this platform today, but you won't believe there are 41 such seller applications which are there on this platform. There are 14 such buyer applications on the platform. There are about 7 such logistics players on the platform, but not the big ones, because they have their own region and their own wealth of network that they have, and they don't want to come to such a disruptive network at this point in time. But the belief is that with the market forces, it's all about market efficiency. Market forces will bring all the wealth, like what Amazon and Flipkart and many other such players have put in place. That wealth which is there will come to ONDC network soon, and will probably explode the efficiency and effectiveness both to digital commerce, and will benefit everyone, including cost of transactions. And with the scale, people who are earning, say, X money, for example, a platform who are earning X money, with the scale, even if per transaction their share goes down, but the scale, they would be able to probably make more revenue in their process. Little bit more detail how YES Bank can bring. So we have a couple of seller app who are working with us, and we can bring all our buyers, all our seller customers. For example, somebody selling lychee, somebody selling some unique products from Bihar. In this case, there are some unique delicacy from Bihar. For example, I recall something like some silao ka khaja, for example, and some of the tilgud, for example, is a very popular dish here. It has good shelf life as well. So any seller from there, I know one outlet there in Patna, there's Sangeeta Mishan Bhandar, they can come on this case, for example. So we as a bank bring them on the platform through the seller app, and there is a banking relationship that we have. Similarly, some large outlets, for example, MACD, I gave example. So one large corporate come there along with their multiple outlets, and then we can bring them as a seller, and then people like you and me can do the transaction with those sellers having multiple outlets. So the example of Patanjali is given in the same way. There could be also a case wherein they don't want to come through a seller app, because seller app is one more entity. A large corporate, they may like to come on the ONDC platform on their own. So that can also be done, and they will have to develop the entire tech ecosystem to come on this ONDC platform. So guys, broadly I have covered these, and of course we as a bank offer variety of products. We actually started a little late, so I have tried to cover almost all the key parts, and banking offerings anyways, comprehensive offering is there from the bank. So I'll just hold myself now open to you all, and happy to take questions, queries, suggestion, and if bank specific question is there, happy to take that as well. Yeah.
Yeah, so on behalf of all these startups here, there's one thing that we all need to understand. We have around 96 startups working here who are all recognized by the Department of Industries Government of Bihar. So my specific question pertaining to this training ONDC program is how can you onboard all these startups and the products? So one thing, and second thing is what is YES Bank doing for all these, these startups? What extra? I mean, like banking service is one thing, but apart from all those banking services, what are the other things that these startups can expect from YES Bank, sir?
Okay, great. In fact, we had prepared, I'm speaking from home, so there would be a little bit of disturbance, so please don't mind. In fact, my dog barked for a moment, so please don't mind. Coming to your question. So, how do we onboard all our startups here, who are part of Bihar and being supported by government of Bihar? So, as far as that piece is concerned, if you have certain goods and services to sell, and you are having large scale, mass products. Suppose if you have lychee, I gave example, tilkut, I gave example, but these are not startups. These are traditional product, for example, natural product, for example, for centuries. So if any other goods that we would like to sell as a seller, then I have, as a bank, we have some partners who are already there as a seller app, and we can connect you to the app. Through that app, you can come to you will be connected to the network, and individuals like me, Amitava, others can do the transaction, can buy your products. So I can onboard you all if you have certain products to sell. That's point number one. Point number two, if you have if you are there with some players like YES Bank is also going to come out with a buyer app or in partnership with such buyer app. Just hold for a moment. I think Amitava, I want you to take this question. I will have to just open the door. Somebody is there outside. Just hold for Amitava.
Sure,
just
no problem. So just to continue what Muni was telling, that we have. I'll give you an example. In not in a startup format, but in an FPO format. We recently got an organization in Northeast called Northeast Agricultural Marketing Corporation. So what do they do? They have FPOs under them who are working as they have their different products, like can be pickle, can be anything else, which is also a form of a startup for them also, the FPO community. So we are helping them to onboard their entire product onto ONDC, which is not there previously. A person sitting in Nagaland or Mizoram or any other location. So we are doing that. One. Two, recently we got into, Nilesh is there, so we got into a contract with Bihar Khadi Rajya Board, where we are onboarding their entire products of Khadi, which is there in Gandhi Maidan, a huge outlet, which I'm a regular visitor whenever I'm there in Patna. So we are onboarding all their products into this particular thing. We are in discussion with Comfort also as far as Patna is concerned. So anywhere wherever there is a product or there is a service is not yet started in ONDC, wherever there is a product which can be delivered at the other part of the country. Now, one thing which Muni has not touched upon is the cost. I think it's very, very important, because the startup, I'm not getting into the percentages, but at least be rest assured, because it's a government platform or a pipe which has been created by Government of India, Ministry of Commerce. The cost of Amazon and Flipkart vis-a-vis ONDC is drastically low. That is what I can comment on as of now. Once we meet, we can have a discussion on the percentage also. But you can be rest assured the percentage that Amazon, Flipkart, or the bigger e-commerce players are charging currently for any kind of getting onboarded as a seller is much lesser. This ONDC is much lesser than those things, and
yeah,
the logistics options are
I
also
will
correct.
thanks, Amitava. I will allude some number. So for depending upon the type of products, the Amazon and Flipkart, and I'm not against them, just for whatever research that we have read, their share of profit could be anywhere between 20 to 60%. Suppose you are paying 100 rupee on for buying, buying a pen or buying, so for example, mobile. You are paying 100 rupee. The possibility of Amazon sharing 30, 40, 50 rupee is there. So in the case of ONDC, the expectation is that such cost is expected to be far lesser. The range that we are expecting is not more than 10 to 15%. So we're talking about one third or one fourth kind of costing vis-a-vis what we are seeing in some cases, not always, depending upon the product category also. In some cases, the cost which the platform will take, the digital commerce will take, the intermediaries will take, will not be even one third, one fourth of what no such established big platforms are taking. To come to your another question, I think Mr. Rajiv raised this question with regard to what bank can do to the startup ecosystem there in in Patna. So we have a comprehensive offering, and for the sake for the positive time, we are not able to go deeper into the entire catalog that we have. We will not only provide the entire banking services, we provide mentoring, and we also select cases we also provide credit facilities. And many times, if we have to take them to various ecosystem, we have kind of a working engagement with, say, suppose somebody is working in regtech, so we have engagement with the, say, regulators. Suppose I noted health tech, agri-tech, and food. These areas were mentioned in the beginning as a kind of a briefing about the startups here. So we have working with the stakeholders, including APEDAs of the world, for example, or MPEDA of the world on the marine side, or on the Ministry of Food Processing Industry on the food side. So from that perspective, also we have working, and in addition to all the variety of banking services that you can imagine, and integrating with you at integrating if you need it, because most of the agri-tech and some of the businesses are aggregation oriented, and therefore API integration becomes very important. So therefore, cost efficient integration is also feasible, and in select cases, based on the credit assessment, credit facilities are also being considered.
In
That
fact,
is
we have
wonderful.
summarized, Rajiv sir, we have summarized the whole thing on the last slide. Muni sir, if you can just show the last slide that Jalesh has made. I think we have more or less summarized the entire thing on the last slide, which is the
Yeah,
current
in
account
fact.
for startups. Correct.
So current, so variety of see, I would only like to bring in that the sky is the limit as far as the offerings are concerned, and this is Yes Bank example. I'm sure most of the banks have some or the other offering. Uh, the differentiation that we bring in is that hand holding becomes very, very important. As simple as a payment, you want to become digital, you need a method for collecting payment. So payment gateway services would be one of the simplest services would be made available to you, and all of these will be at a cost which would be palatable, because ultimately for a startup stage there is before one achieves a scale from the POC to the MVP, no, to the scale up stage, there is a handholding required, there is a cost sharing required, and we understand that very well, because we have been in fact bankers of choice for the startups, no, at many stages, including the unicorns and unicorns. So from that perspective, the entire range of services would be available at a cost palatable to the startups, including certain value-added services to the founders and top management in terms of the premium services which are required for them. So that's also available.
Oh, so wonderfully. Onboarding is something that would really look forward to. I mean, onboarding how these startups, most of them, their products might not be that innovative to fit into the category of startup, but yes, even if it's a traditional business, we'll definitely request a team from YES Bank to come and then, discuss with us how we can onboard these products. Also, is there also something for the services, service-based startups, sir?
Yeah, no, from the bank perspective, for example, support somebody is in IT services, somebody in logistics services, somebody is in HR services, somebody is in a normal consulting services, somebody is MSME. So there are in some cases startups, they need small little funding. In fact, I would also like to allude to the support that startups while they get from the state government and central government. There is also from the funding perspective, there is a support available from the Ministry of MSME, which they call it as CGT SME based funding. So central government trust is there, which guarantees to the central CGT SME guarantees to the banks. Now I think that percentage is going to, I think, 85% plus for the funding without collateral particularly. So that product is also being offered by the bank for the services startup as well.
Government of Bihar is also, they're funding very aggressively. So initially they were giving 10 lakh rupees on 0% interest, and that was to be paid after 10 years. Now they have added additional 15 lakh rupees. So overall you get 25 lakh rupees on 0% interest that you have to repay after 10 years. So which is huge. The problem starts when there is a need for emergency fund. And that is when these startups go to bank, and then there are a lot of complications that happens, lot of documents that are being asked. So we have UCO Bank, zonal office, UCO Bank, other banks. So, but these startups have to make rounds and rounds in their offices. The problem is not solved. So as a private bank, so can we expect these documentations and everything to be easily solved for our startups?
I can say that while lending is a credit decision process, that it would be always selective for sure. It will not be a mass market product. Lending is not a mass market product. But with private sector bank, I can definitely say very unambiguously about YES Bank. There will not be round and confusion and communication issues from the bank side. You will get clarity for sure, timely clarity. So that will be available, but it will be selective offering. Credit will not be X rupee or X amount, depending upon overall project plan that you have, would be available on the fly. Depending upon credibility, including personal loan is now available on fly. But again, there is certain checking which is being done. For example, your CIBIL score would be very relevant. So this digital infrastructure which has come in place, that is enabling on the fly decisioning. So in some cases, you will get on the fly decisioning depending upon what kind of overall credit, how is the overall credit profile of the person, promoter, or the overall business entity.
Munindra, may I add on this a little?
Yeah, go ahead.
So, hi all, this is Jalish Parekh here from YES Bank. I believe the question was that if the case there is some emergency fund requirement also, what does it happen? So YES Bank in the SME division also offers a seasonal based credit limit. So example, retail of in the business of sweets or gifts or festival related. So during the festival times, there is an additional incremental limit to, for example, you have a standard limit of 5 lakh, there have been additional limit given that during the season time you can go an additional usage of 1 lakh more. These are just example placeholder values I'm saying. So that also the SME banking division of YES Bank is offering.
So I would definitely, thanks Jalesh, I would definitely urge if some of the popular products, maybe food products or non-food products which are unique to Bihar, and I'm sure most of the startups must be having their base from Bihar, from Patna. They must be Bihar originated people. So try and see if you can take some of the products and make more popular outside Bihar through with this infrastructure around digital commerce.
Absolutely, sir. Absolutely. And to add you one more thing, sir, all the startups sitting out here, sir, they have been recognized by Department of Industries. They have been registered by department, and there is a part of Chandragupta Institute of Management, and they are taking care of these things. So the best part is that, sir, the government has recognized, and they have gone through the various tests, written test and interview, and then they have been impaneled into this. So in Bihar, they are very much secured as far as government is concerned, and they all are very aggressive in their startups.
Great. So as I coincidentally, I also come from Bihar, having base.
I know, sir.
Native place around Patna. I would like to urge some of the products from Bihar are actually very expensive in outside Bihar, and I think the benefit of that, the price difference, does not come to the people of Bihar or the farmers of Bihar. I'll talk about particular rice breed, Maybe Govind Bhog, I'll talk about Makhana, which is Bihar is, I think, 60 to 70% producer, for example, Darbhanga region. Maybe 400, 500 rupee kg, best product here in Mumbai itself. Forget about other parts of the country. The costing is not less than 1,000 rupee for that quality. I talked about Tilkut. So one is the food and beverage category. I'm sure there would be other category which would be, labor intensive. For example, our population is also good, and I'm sure with the larger, higher skill set that we are developing, including English education, furthering it outside, Bihar. So those areas should definitely be explored to really bring the benefit to the people of Bihar rather than giving to the intermediaries outside Bihar.
Sir, I just want to add one more thing, sir. Department of Industries has startup center at Chanpatia, sir. There's a place called in Champaran.
Okay.
Chanpatia, where Department of Industries has built up with the help of Chandragupta Institute of Management again. And there is a startup hub where all the leather goods and clothing, even after COVID, sir, they've all started and they are making, I think, best of the best brands are taking their made of products, and again the same things I can come with you on offline. That branding and everything is happening here in Bihar only, sir.
Very happy to note, and I would personally appeal on behalf of the bank as well as on my own personal behalf that I think this set of bright boys and girls, men and women, they should take the mantle to elevate the overall socio-economic and GDP of Bihar to the next level. So
Absolutely.
per capita as well as overall GDP, and I'm very sure this set of startup which are supported by the government of Bihar as well as CIMP, I'm sure they will play a catalytic role as well as they will really take over a period of time. They will take to a next level and will make a quantum difference in this drive, which will benefit all, because when the economy grows, everybody benefits.
Right.
So considering the time constraint, we'll quickly take one or two questions. Then
Yes, sir. Sir, I will do one thing, sir. You have lending is not a regular process for a mass.
Can't hear you, sir. Can't hear you.
Sir,
थोड़ा पास
you
में
have,
आके बोलो mic से.
yes, sir, you have told that lending is not a mass process. It is a very selective process. So I know that individual who has already started his or her business, and if someone has already invested something in the business and it is in the startup process, so even they are also facing so many problems, so many hurdles to take some any kind of loan or any kind of investment from the bank. So this is the basic problem we are facing here. So can we expect such kind of lending from the bank who has already started, who has already invested some money in their startup? So even here, there are so many persons in the startup loan, they have already invested lots of money, and they are expecting some lending, some amount, some lending from bank.
Okay.
So is there any problem?
I could gather. Thank you. I could gather your question. I'll just first summarize the question.
Yes,
That
yes.
as a startup, we have invested, we have gone through some journey. We need some more seed capital to grow and to further grow and support the business. But there are a lot of problem, lot of difficulty, lot of challenges for the startup from the financial support perspective. Have we gathered your question correctly? Maybe wording may not be same, but I think
Yes.
that's the theme, right?
Yes, sir.
I'm sorry to just interrupt. Just adding to what he said. First of all, thanks for the nice presentation. I just need to understand this CGTSME scheme, which has been there since 8 years. And in my last 10, 12 years journey, I have not seen any banker very much, for this kind of scheme off the line, I'm saying, off the record. Obviously, on paper, everybody says that, this is a very good scheme and all this kind of stuff. But my personal experiences, which with almost every bank, be it SBI to ICICI Bank, my banker is ICICI, they have off the record, they have not been very, for this kind of speed. So what is the status at YES Bank off the record, if you can say, so that, we won't bother to disturb you people?
No, it's on the record here. Don't take it off the record. You are talking to my boss here.
So, I mean, are you people actually aggressively looking for CGTSME, or what is the reason why banks are not for this CGTSME with the loan, which is insured by the government of India? So how come why they are not giving loans?
Okay. Okay. I will absolutely give you an answer hard form so that you take it on the face of it. First and foremost, my experience and the banking data which is coming from RBI, the credit deposit ratio, or from the state of Bihar, the deposit which is generated, okay,
Very-
and the lending which is being done, ultimately, if I look at that data, so credit to deposit ratio in the state of Bihar is comparatively lower than the rest of the country. Okay, that's the fact of the matter. Point number one. Point number two, and there are there are incidences, there are cases, there are recovery, there are journey, there are bad assets, a variety of that. Sometimes recovery, sometimes law and order situations in select cases of recovery, and anyways litigation. I'm not talking about that's the legal process. So variety of all these reasons, and economic activity is comparatively lesser in the state of Bihar, as you know, if you compare with other states. While good impetus is being highlighted just now from the Department of Industry with, to support the startups. So, but the fact of the matter is that credit deposit ratio is lesser, and good ground for funds generation. And ultimately, we have to ensure that once we raise funds through from depositor, we pay back to them. Right? It's their money, whether it is bank or commercial bank, cooperative banks. Of course, cooperative banks local, and then mostly banks which raise sometime deposits, sometimes bonds are also being used. For example, developmental institutions, IDBI earlier used to raise bonds. So whether it is bank deposit or bonds, the people raise funds. Sometimes corporate bonds also people raise funds from state of Bihar, but corresponding deployment in the state of Bihar is less for these reasons. And economic activity overall, that's one. That's a fact. Now, second thing comes CGT SME is specific to the CGT SME. So most of the banks, the first and foremost private sector bank statistically is lower on CGT SME based lending contribution than public sector bank. Point number one. Data, if you look at it, is lower than public sector bank. But overall CGT SME book, if my memory supports well, last time I had seen somewhere it's about upwards of 2 lakh crore for just the data in the country, lending, money given. So, but PSU has more component, private sector bank has less. So that's the generic again. So you can see the private sector bank over there, in particularly in Patna and other major cities, Patna, Muzaffarpur, Bhagalpur, all the big cities. Then comes the YES Bank. So YES Bank, overall lending component, lending share of YES Bank for retail and corporate is relatively lower. In fact, YES Bank share of deposit as well as lending is naturally for the entire banking industry is lower. So ours is also lower. That's the position. And CGT SME based lending we are doing. We have done. It's not a huge number. That percentage may not be in public domain, but we are doing it. And going forward, particularly for this community, we will have internal deliberations. And now I hear that credit is one of the big requirements over here. We will definitely work at the highest level to see that some kitty is planned for this group. And as a pilot, we explore that. And we'll explore that under the CGT SME model too.
So, in the country and even Bihar, the person who is having the matric certificate, they were getting loan on a matric certificate. It was happening. Even he was not having knowledge about that project, about that business. he was not technically trained. He was not a trained person. Even he was getting,
Maybe I'll request Rajiv ji to just repeat this question because I'm not able to hear it properly.
Sir, this we are here. We are here that most of the persons who are BTech, MTech, and so many things, and they have also gone through the examination. They have also gone through training, and then have come in the industries.
And so probably he's talking about the government.
Is good, sir.
Probably you are talking about the government loan. The government can give loan to anybody, even if he's not educated, even if it does not have matriculation certificate.
But the person who are what like there are so many persons who are MBA, BTech. We have the group here.
Yeah, so this is something that does not concern him or the bank directly, So
no, but I would also like to add, sir, with your permission, very quickly. Everyone has to understand that banks have a different set of money. Banks have depositor money with a defined risk appetite. So startup as an ecosystem, comparatively, the risk profile is considered as higher, and that's the reason you will see that bootstrapping and self-funded, and then equity investment is more in the beginning, because the profile is relatively higher risk category, asset class for any investor, any lender. So comparatively, we see that government will fund. They have larger risk appetite. But banks who are raising money from depositor like you and me, bank can't put that money at risk in the higher risk profile asset. So to the startup, the lending component, you will have to understand the lending component to the startup is relatively lesser, because the depositor profile and the money provider profile is very different here. Because आपके पेरेंट्स का ही पैसा बैंक के पास है, right? So छोटा पोर्शन ही इस हाई रिस्क प्रोफाइल में दे सकते हैं.
You have a question? Yeah. Okay. So this is last question. This is going to be last question that we're going to take, sir.
Good evening, sir. My name is Sonal Patel. My question is with regards to registering staple food of Bihar on ONDC platform. Would you be able to, support us so that we can cumulatively bring a lot of staple food and then probably provide it pan India?
Sonam, you're reiterating my wish and ask, which I put to the group. So, indeed,
Gujarat, sir.
So I'm a non-Bihari working in Bihar.
Yeah.
And we are coming up with a project where we are associating with Didi Ki Rasoi, and we have a team of about Didis from about 16 odd states of Bihar, where they prepare food and we have to preserve it and then sell it off the shelf.
Sure. So 2 points. One is, of course, putting you on the ONDC. We have the entire ecosystem is ready to put you on ONDC, and that will, of course, help you access the people who need it. Maybe Bihar origin people all over the country, for example. So they would be, of course, your easy target, and they would be easily be able to see your product offering. That's one. Personally, I would be keen to see that as well. And for your startup, as I said in the beginning, entire range of banking product and services would be available to you, and selectively we'll also look at the lending opportunity.
Thank you so much.
One question.
All right. Okay, ask.
Hello, sir. My name is Chandan, and my question is like.
Chandan, your mic is not on.
Okay.
I can hear Chandan.
Sir, my question is like you say about the digital currency. Will it give the interest to the individuals who have the digital currency in their wallet or like that?
What risk you're talking about?
Like if I have the physical currency, it doesn't generate like the interest, right? But if I can put it in as a digital currency, will it generate the interest?
Very good question, actually. And this question was discussed with Deputy Governor RBI in one of the meetings. So the way the digital currency is designed in India and in most of the country, I think there is only one exception. The way it's designed, it is not interest-bearing, interest-bearing product. So it has largely around interest on many other aspects. It has character of a physical currency. So whatever physical currency is sitting in your wallet or there in your home and wherever, that doesn't earn any interest. So same way the CBDC is not designed to earn interest at this point in time, and doesn't look like to happen in future too. That's the impression we have got from Deputy Governor RBI, who is in charge of this project.
So, Munindra, if I can add on to this also.
Yeah.
Chandan, like you mentioned, you have physical currency in your wallet, okay, which does not earn interest. Same way, a digital currency also, which is a digital manifestation of physical currency, will not be earning interest.
Yeah. What smart people are doing, I can only tell you, we are so easy to move from wallet to the account. End of day, you move to the account and you earn interest. That's what people are doing. Some people, but actually today you keep some small denomination, couple of 100,000, interest will not matter to you too much.
So one thing in addition to that, like the ONDC platform, will it be act as a comparison platform for different sellers? As an individual, if I go for the ONDC platform to like purchase some things, will it be like comparison product for different sellers and like to like different logistic partner, different just financing partners or that? So don't it take much time, as a consumer to like purchase something from the ONDC platform?
Today, if you buy a Sony TV, for example, I don't have any pro or against on Flipkart or Amazon. I'm just giving you an example. Take it as an example only. So you go and place order for Sony TV 43 inch or whatever you put the configuration, and you will see 10 sellers there. All those sellers are properly registered with Amazon. And you as an Amazon customer, you go and see it. But if Amazon is on ONDC, Flipkart is on ONDC, Tata Click is on ONDC, Vijay Sales like in Mumbai is on ONDC, Chroma is on ONDC. Four such sellers, I gave example. Now, when you place a buyer Sony order with a specification like 43 inch or whatever you said, with that, all the sellers which are there on Amazon, Flipkart, Tata Click, Chroma, सबका डिटेल आ जाएगा. उसके बाद फिर आएगा साथ में, if you move the TV through this seller, no, through Dunjo, for example, then uska cost bhi aa jayega. You can pick up any combination and consummate your transaction. And with the data speed that we are talking about, getting into GBps, gigabyte per second, for the platform, and for all of us, we are in Mbps age now. 100, 200, 300, 500 Mbps most of us are using. So all of these you see in the split second.
Hope your question is resolved. Anyways, so with this we come to an end of the session. Time, you want to ask question? All right. Okay, we'll take one more question.
Happy to take a question. I have budgeted up to 6 o'clock, so maybe we can take one more question.
Can we develop our own platform and can use it as an API integrate?
You got to be a little bit closer to the mic.
आप उसको mic को अपनी तरफ.
So can we develop our own platform and use it as an API?
Yeah, this is ultimately you want to come. You want to come as TSP, tech service provider. I want to have your own seller ecosystem. Absolutely all right. You will be having set of API. If your system can engage through that API, you are most welcome. We are in the world of APIification. So everybody is automating and everybody is creating an open architecture. If we can talk through API, nothing like that, and that's what ONDC is doing. So you're welcome to come on this network through your own set of tech stack connected through the API. Sir, multiple meeting happening. I can't hear actually.
Sir, what about regulation on the return with decimal reviews and scams? Because if we sell product and the customer is fake or something, then any such cases, if it is damaged product or if it is not damaged, what about those things?
Now, very good question, very pertinent question. And this reminds me the theme around the concept brand. When you imagine about Amazon, you know, how will they take care of your money, how will they take care of your goods experience, and how will they take care of your returns and defective and various kind of experiences around that, and how will they take care of in case you're returning, the refund and timelines of refund. Sometimes fake goods. I had an experience. I had order for a Gramin sports watch, and I got a brick. I had that experience, for example. So those things happen through the delivery guys. So grievances management related protocol will be in place, and the way some of these guys have established their brand for the for the entire dependability and certainty of the services and offering. So today those players definitely will not be as reputed and acceptable as Amazon in India is there, or Flipkart is there, or Tata Click is there. I'm not against or pro anyone. I'm just giving example. So again, these players will take time. I fully agree. This is a very, very valid concern. For example, when I in Mumbai make order for McDonald's, I'm sure the goods would be good. Pakka hoga, but the quality is okay. But if some new set of players are there, I am having my own concern. So this is an evolution, my dear friend, and that's the way Amazon had a problem 15 years before. Alibaba had a huge problem. You would have read book around Alibaba in China. They had a huge problem of fake suppliers and spurious goods. So these have been addressed over a period of time, but it's a very valid concern, and you may not like to go to a seller just like that. So that's the all of us have to work on that and to develop and establish and bring credibility to the various sellers who would be coming on the platform.
और कोई बच्चा है? So I think the questions are finally over now. And
probably when Amitava is there, and we can have a socialization there, sometime in future if I am visiting. But really looking forward to support and anchor and guide this set of innovators and creators as Bihar government is doing, CIMP is doing. We would be also as an institution happy to support and really feel proud, more than the financial success as a bank, but feel proud in the journey that you guys have embarked upon, and share your journey and share your success together.
So next time when you are in Patna or we will definitely like to invite you and request your presence here at Bihar so that we all can be benefited. We can also invite Amitava sir around that time to come, and then we can have a discussion. All right, so placing on record my sincere thanks to the entire team from YES Bank. Special thanks to Munindra sir. Special thanks to Amitava sir. We have Jalesh ji here. We have Putin ji here. So everyone who joined us virtually today, and special thanks to Nilesh sir for staying in touch with CIMP and then doing so much for the startups here. So I would like to request all these startups to stand and then give a standing ovation and clap for